Hola chicos, hola a todos, hi everyone. So we're going to be talking about our new grammar topic for Unidad Uno. We're finally done with our preliminar. So if you are stuck at home, I know this may be a little bit of a lengthy video, but we do not want you falling behind. And if you come back, I will ask if you've watched this video just to make sure that you are not lost in what you're doing. So this is what we did for both Monday, which is November 2nd, and what we did for Tuesday, Wednesday, November 3rd and 4th. So we talked about the difference between the indicative and the subjunctive. Now, there are three main moods in Spanish, and these moods pretty much cover everything you could possibly learn in Spanish. The indicative is things you have learned in Spanish 1 and 2. They tell facts, okay? What you did, what you will do, like in Spanish 1 when you say, Juan's a good student. I am from Indiana. You are short. He is tall. They're telling facts. Or we went to the store. We won the game. Now, and that is a really big, we did a little umbrella because under it, there's lots of different grammar types. There's present, past, future, all those things. The imperative is a little bit shorter. Okay, and that's the second one here. We did commands telling people what to do, and we did that in Spanish 3. So don't talk to me. Leave the party early. Put your phone down. Come to dinner. Text me back. Those are all commands. Now, Spanish 3 and 4 heavily sit in what's called the subjunctive mood. It's a higher level of thinking. It's used to express things that aren't necessarily real, but things that we may want to happen. It gives our opinions, our emotions, our reactions to things that we haven't quite learned how to say yet. So some examples would be, I want you to give me $5. It doesn't mean you're going to give me $5, just means that's what I want. Or my parents want me to study. Doesn't mean that I'm going to study, just means that that is their desire. Now, in order to learn when to use the subjunctive, you can actually look at this acronym called WEIRDO, okay? WEIRDO means if it is a want, wish, will, desire, if it tells someone's emotions about something else, if it gives someone's recommendations or their doubt or denial about something else, then you need to use what's called the subjunctive conjugation. So, we are going to be learning the W, the E, and the I in this chapter. Wants, wishes, wills, desires, emotions, like I fear that, it makes me happy that, and impersonal expressions using it is, like it is good that, or it is important that, or it is ridiculous that. Okay, now you can use recommendations or doubts. I doubt that, I refuse that, or the phrase hopefully, but we will not be learning them in this chapter because the subjunctive is such an extensive grammar topic that we're just going to narrow it down. Now, speaking of extensive, these are all the phrases you could use, and if you use one of these phrases, it would trigger the use of a subjunctive verb. So if you say, it surprises me that, or I like that, or it's just that, or it's interesting that, or I desire, or I prefer, or I permit, or I demand that, I think that, all of these will then use a subjunctive conjugation, which we have not learned yet. But just giving you the heads up that if you say these, then you're using subjunctive. Now, let's look at some English comparisons. Indicative, which is stating facts, is you don't want homework. Subjunctive is saying your parents hope that you don't have homework. Now, a big difference is that the indicative has one subject and one verb, you want, and the subjunctive has two subjects and two verbs. Your parents hope, you have. Okay? And I know don't's in there, but the big thing is have. So parents and hope and you and have are the two biggest ones. That is one big, big, big takeaway. Girls make cookies. Mom prefers that the girls make cookies. Girls and make. Then we have mom prefers and girls make. Two subjects, two verbs for the subjunctive. You're putting someone's preference, their desire, their wish in front of the statement. The players are lazy. The coach does not want the players to be lazy. The kids play in the street. The babysitter does not want the kids to play in the street. Bring in another subject and another verb. College kids eat healthy. It is important that college kids eat healthy. Now, what we had people do in class was think to themselves of how to come up with an indicative sentence and how to come up with a subjunctive. So if I said, my water bottle is full of water, I could say, it is wonderful that my water bottle is full of water. So it is my first subject, is my first verb. That is my connector. And my second clause is stating my water bottle is. Water bottle, second subject. Is the second verb. So that's kind of explaining what it is. Now, if you go into that same day on Monday, if you missed, that was the notes we just did. This is lesson 4. We also took an exit ticket. You can use your notes at all. You can take an exit ticket. You can use your notes as much as you want. You can refer to this video. You can pull up the PowerPoint. There's no cheating here except getting the answers from someone else. It is only 10 questions long. You have 5 minutes to take it. If you are done with this, then screenshot your response, your answers, your results, and email them to me, and I will update it in the gradebook. Because right now, most likely, if you weren't here, you have a 0, and we don't want that. All right, so if we go back to Monday, then we go to the next day, for those of you that are in quarantine. Tuesday, Wednesday is when we learned what the subjunctive is and how to conjugate it. So take our notes, and that's going to take you to right here. Now, we already just went over this in our last PowerPoint. We're going to jump down to now how to create the types of sentences that I just showed you. So a key thing here, actually I need to change this a little bit. There we go. Now, a key thing here is that you have K is your connector, okay? It connects your two clauses. Subject 1 and your trigger word, okay? And your trigger word is a chart that I'm going to give you, is everything found on this chart, which is your trigger chart right here. Everything found on this chart, if you use it, then you're going to conjugate it in the indicative, but after you use it in the second clause, then you're going to use the subjunctive. So the hard thing about a subjunctive sentence is that it has two clauses. This is your first clause, and then this is your second clause. In your first clause, everything's going to be in the indicative, and you're going to pull it from this chart that I had pulled up right here. Okay, anything right here is going to fit into this part right here. Then you have your connector K. Then you're going to put any other subject that you want. It just cannot be the same subject that you put in your first clause. Then you're going to give a subjunctive verb. So let's actually, before we go any farther, let's look at some examples. Actually, I'm going to type up some examples in English. So let's go all the way down to the bottom. Here's some ones in English. So if I said, it is sad that our nation is divided. It is sad is our first clause. Okay, that's going to be in the indicative. And then is divided, our nation is divided, is our second clause. So it would be es triste que nuestra nación, sorry, I have to get my accent marks, esté separado. Separada because nación is feminine. Es triste que nuestra nación esté separada. Say, so, es triste que is from our chart right here. And then our K is our connector. And then our second clause, nation, is our second subject. And then esté is our subjunctive verb, opposite ending, which we're going to get to here in a second. So if we go back up here to our notes, if you want to get a verb in the subjunctive tense, so how do we actually conjugate a subjunctive verb? So step 1 is that you put it in the yo form. These are going to look a lot like our -2 commands. So you put the verb in the yo form, then you take off the O, and then you add the opposite ending according to what type of verb it is. If it's an AR verb, you're going to end it with es, hemos, es, and yes, that is not a typo. AR verbs have opposite endings. ER and IR verbs have opposite endings with a, as, a, amos, ais, an. So if we look here at our examples, mirar, comer, vivir, tener, salir, we have miro, como, vivo, tengo, salgo. Chop off the O for all these, and then I gave them a subject with an opposite ending. So now instead of nosotros miramos, it's nosotros miremos. Instead of ella come, it's ella coma. Instead of tú vives, tú vivas. A ascending, tengan, salga, opposite ending. So let's do another example. I'm going to go down here to my... Let's do you fear everyone does not vote. So you fear is our clause 1, and I'm actually going to highlight this. Does not vote. Let's do this color. Oh, whoops. and this is our connector. So you fear, we're getting from our chart, which is right here. So you fear, to be afraid, or to fear. So you'd say, tú temes que todos no. Now, normally the word is votar, but I'm going to put it in the O form, which is voto. Take off the O. And my conjugation should be the they form because I'm saying everyone. So opposite ending of votar would be voten. So this is our subjunctive word. Voten, sorry, is our subjunctive. K is our connector. So this is our subjunctive word. Temes is our indicative word. So you now have two different types of conjugations within the same sentence. But if you just said everyone does not vote, then it would be normal. If I just said todos no votan, you're stating a fact. Everyone does not vote. But if I give this, I am stating that you fear that everyone does not vote. That doesn't make it accurate. It just shows your opinion, your emotion, your reaction. So since you put this clause in front, you have to change this to an opposite ending to show that it's not certain, it's an unknown, okay? Or it's either an unknown or it's an unsure, or you're showing that it's an opinion, recommendation, but it is not fact. It's just that you fear, okay, that everyone does not vote. Hopefully that makes a bit of sense. So a couple key takeaway is that notice that we cannot use the same subject twice. Even in our examples, it says, it is sad, so it is our subject, and the nation is our second one. In our other example, you, fear, was our first subject, and then everyone was our second subject. So we have to have different ones. All 5 parts of the formula must be present when writing in the subjunctive in order for it to make sense. Now, all of our conjugations are just like before, even with our kargar-zars, like our negative twos. So since they're so similar to negative twos, they actually follow a lot of the negative two rules. That means kargar-zar as well. So let's go down here and let's get a couple of examples with kargar-zar. So if I have the word sakar, and I want to put it in the yo form of the subjunctive. So first I say sako, then I take off the O, and I just have sak. Change that C to a QU. And then opposite ending, because it's an AR verb right here, you're going to put an opposite ending is an E. So now you have yo sake. But you need to put a phrase in front of it to really make it subjunctive. So you could say, es ridículo. It's ridiculous. Que yo saque un F in la clase. It's ridiculous that I get an F in class. So the only reason that we made it into the subjunctive is because we first had a clause here that called for it. So that is how we kind of do our kargar-zars in the subjunctive, just like we did it in our negative 2 commands. Now, where would Spanish be without our irregulars? These are 5 irregulars. Okay, they do weird things. They don't follow it. Now, kargar-zars aren't technically irregulars because they do follow a pattern. These ones don't at all. Notice that our theys have an accent. All of these have an accent mark except for estemos. And then only our vosotros have accent marks. So hopefully you're with me so far. Hopefully this is making sense. Let's look at some examples in Español. So this one says, mi padre desea que yo conserve el uso de energía en la casa. So, desea, I'm going to put in yellow, is our trigger because desear is right here, to wish or desire. So if you use it, then you're going to trigger the use of the subjunctive, which is right here. K is our connector. Yo conserve el uso de energía en la casa. This comes from the word conservar, which means the opposite ending is the E, which makes it the subjunctive. So right now, this one states, my dad desires that I conserve the use of energy in the house. So we have our first subject, our first verb. Second subject is yo, and second verb. And this is how we create more complex sentences. Because before you could just say, I conserve the use of energy in my house, or my dad desires pizza. But we didn't actually have two subjects and two verbs and talk about what people want, what they recommend, what their wishes or desires are. So hopefully that gives you a better idea of what the heck we are doing. We completed just part one in class on Tuesday, Wednesday, and we're going to complete the part two and part three in class on Thursday, Friday. So I hope you watched this video and that makes sense. Feel free to reach out to me and be in constant communication as long as you're following on Canvas. All right, gracias. Adios, chicos.